Spirit of the dance. Spirit of the dance.
Wabanang Dishnikas, Mang Tode.
Spirit of the dance. Spirit of the dance.
Spirit of the dance.
Wajibi.
Dance. It's defined as taking a series of rhythmical steps and movement in time to music, an artistic form of nonverbal communication. Spirit, defined as the vital principle or animating force believed to be within all living beings. For the Plains Indians dance, it's spiritual itself. It can be a form of prayer, a way of expressing joy or grief, and a method of becoming closer to Lama Kanshkan, or all living things. Without dance, the spirit of the Lakota and Dakota culture would not be as it is today. Without spirit, the dances of yesterday would not flow through the movements of Native American dancers today.
I think that Native American people are naturally drawn to a feeling of expressing themselves in music and dance because that's the way that we traditionally prayed. We prayed through song, we prayed through our communication outside in the elements, and it's just a natural connection that today a lot of people when they dance, some people are praying when they dance.
We learn dances from other tribes. Our people learned that from the Omaha tribe from Nebraska. And they came to visit and they performed their dances, and day after, our people also performed doing the same thing that the Omaha were doing.
Buju Nindawe Maganaduk. Wabanang Dishnikas, Mang Tode. I just said hello, all my relatives. I gave you my spirit name, which in my language means morning star, and I am Lone Clan from Leech Lake, Minnesota. Once you feel that drum connects you, that drum signifies the heartbeat, and you want to go out there and you can feel it in your heart. It opens up your heart, it opens up your mind, and you remember all your stories and all the traditions and all the ones who have walked before you. And you're partaking in that, and you're honoring that. And it has to carry on. Yes, I think it's really important.
There's many stories going on with each individual family as they're dancing there. Some of them dance for their fathers. Some of them dance for their grandfather. They're probably using their regalia too. All societies of the Lakota are very kinship orientated. And so you would hear a girl or a young man say, I'm dancing for my grandfather, or I'm dancing for my grandmother. And she probably is in the ground already and will have gone to the spirit world.
I'm a grass dancer, men's grass, and it's pretty much originated from up north and came down this way. And I was 6 years old when I started. It's the grandparents is kind of what show you, and plus you grow up around it. It's not like they push you out there to do it. It kind of comes natural. It's kind of like you want to go out there. You see all the other little kids out there and see them dancing and see how much fun they're having, and it just kind of grows on you, and it's just like a part of your life.
I'm basically a traditional dancer. My father took me to my first powwow. Seen a little traditional dancer and wanted to be just like that.
Usually when those little babies are on your lap, the mothers are bouncing them in beat, in time with the music, and letting them hear that music and bringing them near the drums so they can see the drummers and they can hear the different kinds of songs. And also as they get older, when they start walking, and getting outfits together for them and having a proper ceremony to bring them out, to bring them amongst the crowd.
Most of us have a Lakota name too. When they're going to sing honor song, they have to use our Lakota name. Every child today, they have their given names, English name, and also they were given a Lakota name. so that when gathering like this, they might be honored. So they sing a special song.
My grandfather had started me out with powwows, and my family, the rest of my siblings, my cousins, that's where we started. And then from there, as I got older, now that I have my own family and my daughter, we're passing that on, to generations. So yes, it is something that is brought down from grandparents, from our down to the Wakaija, which are the sacred beings. That's what the meaning to our children. As parents, it's our job to pass what we learned from our grandparents and our parents down to our children so that they can give that to their children.
But you teach them about that as their part, there's proper protocol, how you conduct yourself when you're on that floor, and when you're wearing your regalia, you don't run around with your feathers on, you don't brush up against people, you have to take care of your outfit. Somebody has spent a lot of time putting their outfits together, so you honor the work of the people that did that. You also honor the spirits and your relatives by conducting yourself in a good way in that circle. Watch your language and watch what you say, because words are powerful, words are sacred.
Many of us do things to keep the traditions alive. And it's because the little ones wanted to dance, and it causes us to work, the older ones. Sometimes a little boy said, "Mom, I want to dance," and we'd have to make regalia for the child, and so sometimes they take us back to the circle.
Native American dance is unlike most other dances in today's society. It is a prayer through the body and an act of respect for ancestral traditions. There are many different kinds of dances across the country, performed by many different tribes. These dances do not use choreographed moves. A dancer's moves are based on being connected to the spirits and Mother Earth. Each dance has its own meaning, its own story with a distinct rhythm. These dances are performed the way ancestors performed them so many years ago. Yet, today's dances allow each dancer to demonstrate his or her own unique style. Each dancer brings a spontaneity to the dance that carries with it his or her own emotions and well-being.
In the traditional setting, there were pretty much the men's traditional and women's traditional. And then you saw the grass dancers and the fancy dancers. And then for the men, and then for the women, also there's fancy and jingle, which is more of from the Ojibwe, the Anishinaabe people in Minnesota.
We have a lot of oral history, and a lot of things I know have been passed on to me by my father, my grandfather, our uncles, or who it may be. That the traditional dance is the oldest style of dance. That is a warrior's dance, and the movement that they do, they're telling a story on a hunt or maybe a war party they had to go on to. And when they come back, they would have a gathering and they would dance and show what they did while they were well their way. In that dance, you only dance forward. In the traditional dance, you don't dance in a straight line, is how I was told. You dance kind of zigzag, never in a straight line, because life isn't always in a straight line. There's always obstacles or something that you have to overcome.
Traditional dancers never turn around. You dance only forward, and you don't say this line here, you don't go back behind that, because a traditional dancer is supposed to be a warrior watching out in the front. And so he would be able to see things that he would protect people behind him or the home.
The women's traditional dance is a stately dance that involves a slow-moving or non-moving bouncing step. The dancers dip to the rhythm and sway to the beat of the drum. This dance has changed very little over the years.
It was the original style of dance. They never had any of these. That was just what we did a long time ago to support the men that were dancing.
The fancy dance, or fancy dancer, is also known as the Oklahoma feather dancer and has been called the crazy dance by Ponca tribal elders. It is the symbol of color and action at powwows. There are two dance styles, a basic simple step while dancing around the drum, and a contest step with fast and intricate footwork combined with a spinning up and down movement of the body.
A fancy dancer came from the southern tribes, and it's also considered a warrior's dance. I know that it was a society down there, and that it was a warrior society, and that's where the fancy dance originated from. The fancy dance is fairly new. It's not one of the older dances that we've had, but in the present time, a lot of tribes adapted each other's dances.
Ever since I was little, I used to watch my auntie dances fancy, and a lot of people that I looked up to dance fancy, so I was like, I want to be like them.
It's a lot of exercise. It's fun. You get to move around a lot, move your arms, get to kick. It's like if you get mad, you can take it all out on dancing. I don't know, it's just fun.
There's a straight dance, and that's just more of a, you can do anything, your own footwork, you can make it up. And then there's double beat, which is like a slide, a foot slide. You have to stay on the heels of your feet, and you have to slide to the beat. And then there's a crow hop, like the men's traditional did earlier, and that's more of a hopping like a crow, and to the beat of the drum, and you can put your own feet or footwork in there.
When they dance kind of on their toes, and they imitate the butterfly movement, or dance like a bird, or it used to be called a graceful shawl dance, I believe, a long time ago. And in that dance, when I was younger, they never had a lot of feathers, but now you see the fancy dances where a lot of eagle plumes or a lot of plumes on when they dance, and that was something that has changed that I remember. This style is called a grass dance. It originated, it actually came as a society dance at one time called Omaha Society. The different color yarns represent the different colors in nature. You'll see various colors in different grass dancers. Some grass dancers have their own personal colors they choose, or maybe given to them by another person to use. And so that's why we have the different colors. A long time ago, the grass dancers were the ones that went ahead of everybody else and kind of prepared the ground for maybe the camp or for a gathering that they're going to have. There was the scouts that went ahead of everybody. When you do grass dance, the way it's to go is that when you dance or do a step or a move on one side, you in turn do that same move or step on the other side.
I've been dancing as long as I can remember. As you can see, my regalia is a jingle dress. My grandmother was a jingle dress dancer, as was my mother. My granddaughters are jingle dress dancers, and I'm hoping that this traditional carries on. Originated in back up in Canada. This dress signifies healing. This is why I wear this dress.
The jingle dress started with the Ojibwe people. It was a dream or a vision that came for a woman or a girl that was sick to make this dress for her in this style of dance. And when they did this, that woman or that girl became well again. She wasn't sick anymore. So they considered that a medicine dress, I would guess you would say.
To Native Americans, all dances are wakan, or sacred, some more than others. Today, many dancers work hard at keeping the traditional meaning of the dance alive. Others bring their own sense of style blended with traditional roots. This new way of dance sometimes brings new meaning to the circle. This sometimes causes concern among the elders, and those striving to keep the dances in their traditional forms. These traditional forms were the ways of the ancestors.
The rhythm of the song, most songs are, you just have a straight beat, just a continuous beat. And the dancers understand and know how to keep that certain beat. But there are special songs where the beat may change. Like for instance, if you have like a fancy dancer, in their category they need different songs. And what they will do is sometimes they'll have a ruffle dance, which is the beat just goes continuously and then it stops. And then it goes into the regular beat. Then it's tricky. So the fancy dancers have to learn those songs so that they can keep up with that beat.
Some dancers are like that. They just have the natural talent to be able to dance to any song or a different style of dancing.
The indigenous tribes of the Plains area are well versed in these 6 main dances performed at powwows across the region. There are some dances performed at ceremonies today that are rarely talked about or seen. Some are so sacred that even to talk about them is considered by some to be disrespectful. For these sacred dances, videotaping or photographing is strictly prohibited.
The ghost dance, as we know in history, was brought, we say by a man, but I think many of the Lakota dances were already in place, so it was so easy to fall into, some things that people would suggest.
The ghost dance originated down south. I believe he was a Paiute medicine man. His name was Wavoka. Had this vision of the ghost dance to bring it to the north, to the northern tribes. The ghost dance was supposed to bring back the buffalo and to bring back relatives who had passed on and to make the non-Indians go away, I guess you'd say, because at that time they were having a very difficult time. We all heard of the story of the massacre at Wounded Knee. This was done in fear of the ghost dance, that they thought that this would in some way help the Native American bring back their way of life that they were living. The Sundance was one of the sacred ceremonies we were given when the White Buffalo Calf Woman came. And it is still practiced today. And from me being told by my elders, it is our most sacred ceremony that we have.
Women don't Sundance because women, when they give birth to our lives, they have already gone through pain and hardship. And men want to show that they understand that pain and hardship also by attaching themselves to the sacred tree and breaking away and letting the women know, I know how it is to break a cord, and I'm going to break one and see how much pain you had. I want to be just as kind to those that brought these rights to us. A woman, the White Buffalo Calf Woman, brought that pipe to us. And it's a woman's gift to the men. Visually, we see the dancers emulate or act out the war deeds. And so Waktegli Olowa, which means war deeds or coming back from a battle, Waktegli, coming back from a kill site, a battle site. That's what it means, coming back from a kill site. And Waktegli, they came back, the warriors.
We have a dance that came about probably 1930s. The social dance, that's probably the only dance a man and a woman will dance together. And we call it rabbit dance. And those rabbit dance songs are all love songs.
The rabbit dance is a courting dance between a man and a woman. There's a certain drum beat and a certain song that they sing. And it would be like going and doing two-step somewhere, dancing with a partner. It would be similar to that.
When that beat, you hear that double beat, that means men and women can dance together. everybody, relatives and cousins, and even people who are not relatives with anybody, but they're finally coming toward the center to be able to be a part of something. And when you feel a part of something, you're starting your first seeds of kinship. And so that encouraged, that beat, that heartbeat, encourages people to dance together.
The sneak-up dance was for the traditional dancers. The sneak-up dance, there's two stories I heard. Of course, it's the warrior out tracking whatever it may be he's tracking and sneaking up on him, where you get the name sneak-up dance. But also, I heard the story about a buffalo, that when the sneak-up dance is sung, that you imitate the buffalo as you're dancing.
It's almost like the ruffle dance, but it's just a continuous beat, and the dancers, everyone kneels down, the traditional dancers do, and they make noise with their bells, and that was their way of scaring off the enemy. And then that will stop, and then it goes into the regular beat for a while, and then it stops. So that's the first verse, and you go 4 verses of that, and then on the final verse, the drum takes off even faster, and that allows the dancers to also use their energy, to get louder, and they're able to go, dance harder.
That type of dancing was only done by the war leaders. And it's a special song that the war leader was killed or wounded or captured. And so they honor that war leader by singing this special song for them. And only the war leaders will dance to that, no one else.
When one decides to make a commitment to dance, they must be ready to acknowledge the amount of work involved with such an exercise of spirituality. Learning the songs and dance steps provide a good way to balance a dancer's emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual well-being.
Because that's a lot of work to stay in shape, to dance and to, so if they're staying committed, if they're helping to, because they have to keep their outfits repaired and doing all those things, I think it's really important that they, so they get really busy. If they think this is important, that they know that they have to, stay focused, because if they go out and party the night and they know they have a grand entry in the morning or in the afternoon, they're not going to be able to do that. But more importantly, I think that any time that you involve people in doing positive things, and whatever that positive thing is, it helps those individuals to focus on something that's more positive than negative. And you have to have some sort of replacement, because people have time, especially young people have time. You need to get them doing things that are in a positive venue, whatever that is.
Through the summer months, every weekend basically. So it's just basically come home, get geared up again, and head straight out for the next powwow and try to be at the next powwow by Friday.
Because of dancing, I guess it also keeps a person young and all that. So I do believe that, because I think if I don't dance, I'll probably be overweight and all that kind of stuff.
The drum is the heartbeat of the people and Mother Earth. It is wakam, or sacred. It is respected by all who sit around it and feel the power of its beat.
My wife always says, let the beat hit your feet. And if you feel that, then you know you're into the dancing and the feelings it brings. And you feel just immensely grand. And there's a lot of healing with that drum beat, and that good feeling of a lot of relatives there to support, and recognize you and embrace you. And that kinship is a very strong way in our lives.
A drum is usually made of wood. The frame of the drum is made of wood, and the hides around it are usually made of elk or buffalo, and nowadays they've been using cow hides. The difference in hides is the difference in sounds of the drum, the tone of the drum. So depending on what hide you use, that's how your drum is going to sound. The drum was given to the Dakota people in a vision, and The drum is to be taken care of like you would take care of a member of your family. You need to feed the drum. You need to pray with the drum. You need to take care of it. You consider it a man.
The Lakota Dakota word for drum is chanchega. And the drum is considered, you know, from what I was taught, the heartbeat of our people. And, you know, the drum is considered to be the first singer, the first member of that drum group.
The drum keeper is the one that takes care of the drum in his home. There should be a special place in your home that you have your drum, that you put your drum, where you're able to give it water or feed it. The drum keeper has a big responsibility.
A drum keeper, at one time, they used it to inform people things that will happen. If they're going to have a dance or a meeting, whatever it is, the drum keeper will beat on the drum 4 times, 4 different intervals. So that first time, you go around asking what's going to happen because I heard the drum. Second time, you get your things together and head it out that way. Third time, you're almost there. And fourth time, you should be there. Take part in what's going to happen. Drum is used for communications too. We don't do that today.
When you're a drum carrier, it starts to gain a lot of assignments. They invite you to graduations, honorings, welcoming soldiers back. So we actually took it in the sweat lodge and prayed with it. We also bury our people with this drum. And so it gains its own sacredness as it's used in different wiping of tears ceremonies or even birthday songs. You know, it had gained a lot of recognition. We always say that the drum is sacred because it gains its own sacredness. And the more people put tobacco on the drum, the more it gains its strength. Before we even start singing our first song at a powwow, we get tobacco out of a bag or a cigarette and everybody breaks a piece off of it. And we all hold and pray for the event and pray for ourselves and pray for our relatives. Then we all sprinkle it on the drum.
And the importance of singing is that you try to make, you know, one voice, like a group of singers, maybe 10 of them, but the important is we know that every person, every singer have a different tone quality, but you have to put them all together to make it one. Even style of singing have changed because in music, the songs, when they do have words, it's supposed to tell a story or to tell the people what's happening. The songs actually relate messages. So we have all kinds of songs. And for myself, I've been singing about 45 years, so I know a lot of songs. But we just memorize them, and Creator give us a mind for us to use. So that's where we store our songs. But like today, singers is a little bit different because a lot of these young singers, they learn from other drums by tapes that they come up with. The words will tell you things that you must do. Like one song that an enemy warrior was shot off his horse. So when they come to those words, all the dancers are supposed to bow down, like being shot off. But today they will sing the songs, but the people don't know them. So they just stand straight up. They don't do the actions part that they're supposed to do.
As with any culture, gender norms play a vital role in keeping alive the time-honored traditions. One of these time-honored traditions of the Native American culture is the Wichagalaka, or the Tremulo. That is when women support the men drummers and singers by standing behind them and singing along. or in some instances, ending a song with a tremulous effect.
The only way you can have a woman on your drum is if you're related. All of them are related. A family drum. And not many times do we see women do that. But women are supposed to be behind the singers. They are called Wichagalata. Wichagalata means they make the song better. That's the name of what they are. They make the song better. In English, maybe it means harmonizing. Okay, in Lakota, it means they make the song better. And that's their duty. They brought us the drum. The woman, this is the symbol of the woman. And why are you so vain to even hit your own self? You know, you gave this to the men. The woman who dreamt about the drum, that it belonged to the men, and gave this gift to the men. If you give a gift, you just don't use it also.
For the Lakota people, we believe that the drum was brought to the woman, and the woman is associated with that drum. So we don't have to play the drum. We don't have to hit the drum because we are already part of Mother Earth and the drum. Okay? The drum was is an extension of the heartbeat of the nation and a heartbeat of Mother Earth. Well, women are already an extension of that. And so we are already close to the drum in that way. The drum was given for the men to use so they could also be close to Mother Earth and that heartbeat, and it helps them to do that. I am of the mind that I think it's really honorable if women stand behind the drum and sing in the chorus behind the drum. I think that's really wonderful to see women do that. And that's an honorable position. In fact, if they're standing behind a drum, they're acknowledging that drum as being a good drum that they would want to honor by singing with them.
Originally, there were many different traditional clothing styles for tribes living on Turtle Island. Nearly every Native American tribe had its own distinctive style of dress, and the people could often identify another tribe's origin by looking at their clothes, headdresses, or ornamentation. Today that has changed. Many tribes have blended or modified their styles with one another. The eagle feathers that heavily decorate many head roaches and bustles are occasionally substituted with hawk or pheasant feathers. The Wambalee, or eagle, is a highly respected spirit among Native Americans. Years ago, if a dancer carried an eagle feather on his regalia, it was a sign of accomplishment. The dancer had performed a good deed or courageous act, and the eagle feather was given to the dancer to acknowledge that act of bravery or good deed.
We respect the eagle as our intercessor to spiritual. They fly up above, and they shouldn't touch the ground with their feathers because feathers are special. You need to keep them clean. The eagle is the one that sees long distances, can look into the sun without hurting his eyes. He's protected. So sun dancers believe in the eagle spirit when they face the sun in a sun dance, that they bless themselves with the eagle feathers and hold an eagle fan. And so it's really, really very sacred to us, the feathers. So we don't let them touch the ground. If you touch the ground, you pay for it. Unless you get somebody, and this is traditionally done, sometimes 4 traditional dancers dance around it and attack it 4 times. They said, they said they attack it, and then on the 4th time, they strike it, and then they pick it up. They pick it up, one is designated to pick it up, and then gives it to perhaps a medicine man or a spiritual leader, and then he prays with it, and then gives it back to whoever dropped it. Sometimes the person who dropped it is so hurt that he didn't take care of his feather, that he didn't fix it the right way that it would stay on. He'll start crying. And that's why we don't videotape, because you don't want to take pictures of people crying. I mean, it's not a good thing to do.
A long time ago, eagle feathers, though, because they were so honored, were not put on bustles that are worn in the back area of people. They weren't worn on the body in that way. They were worn on the head, like on a head roach, or tied to the hair on braids, or they were tied to a medicine wheel then on the hair, or they were put on staffs, or they were put on shields, or they were put on coup sticks, or they were put on what people call a war bonnet, but a headdress and a trailer. That's where eagle feathers were traditionally put. Nowadays, a lot of people use feathers and they put them on some people have double rows of eagle feathers on their bustles and just way lots of feathers. The more feathers that you have, the more responsibility you have, and the more that you have to take care of, and the more that you have to kind of be not worried but concerned that you make sure that you take care of your regalia in a good way, because if one drops, then it's your responsibility, and it's your tioshpai, your family's responsibility to help you to make that feather sacred again.
The traditional dancers, what I was taught, the top of the regalia, the headdress, and it's called the pesha, and that it came from the Omaha. They're traditional dancers, and so we got that through trade.
Many of the traditional dancers don't know what those two feathers are for. The first dancer who used two feathers on his roach, or wabchesha, was a man who had a friend he traveled with. In the Lakota, two warriors always traveled together. So when the military engagements began with the Great War, which is World War I now, and World War II, the warriors who wanted to sign up, who were traditional Lakota men or warriors, said, I have to join up with my friend. His friend got shot in a battle. And so they had identical feathers. He has one feather that's same as this one, probably from the same eagle. And so he embraced his fallen friend and he took his feather. And he took it home, and then he took his feather, and together he attached them on his dance roach in honor of him and to show that they traveled together.
There's been stories about the grass dance where it originated with warriors tucking pieces of grass or blades of grass in their belt or around their legs or something. And that's where it originated from, the grass dance. Not only the dance that they're dancing to flatten the grass, but also that they use the grass to tuck into their regalia or their outfit they had at the time. The modern version, of course, you see a lot more colors. You use the yarn instead of the grass now, so it has changed somewhat. The two feathers, when a person is wearing two feathers on their roach, in our language it's called a wapesha. It represents two warriors. And the story I was told that when you dance, you make these two warriors fight or kind of wrestle one another. And so you'll see when a dancer's dancing, the feathers are always moving and rocking back and forth or touching one another or kind of wrestling like. So it represents two warriors, and you need to make them move as you dance.
My brother-in-law has more of like a headband, and it has a mirror in the front. And with the mirror, the reason why today that the dancers have mirrors is because it's believed that that's able to keep positive feelings with that dancer, and it's able to deflect any negative feelings that are coming that dancer's way. And also on the traditional dancers, you'll see on the front you'll see the breastplate. And my grandfather said they used to use wood before they had bone. That's a warrior's dance, and so they wanted to look, wanted to be protected at the same time, so that they can, as I said, scare away the enemy. A lot of times when you see dancers that look a little different, the reason why is because, those particular dancers usually will have a dream. And in that dream, they usually will see themselves wearing a particular part, whether it's a coyote, there's all types of animals that you'll see. But a lot of times, a dancer will go with what they see in their dream.
In the dream, she was instructed by the spirits to make this dress, and this is what she heard in her dream, this jingle. And she had asked the spirits, where would I find them? And she was in this field. And I can't remember what the plant is called, but that's how we used to make the jingles. Or either out of deer horns, moose horns, we'd hollow them out. But yeah, it was really significant. And this, this is why I wear this dress.
This long hair here is the tall hair off of a porcupine. And they pluck these off the back of the porcupine, and then they stitch it up. And the short hair around the bottom here, this comes off the white-tailed deer, the tail, the outside of the tail. That's that. And then the colors, they just dye the hair of the deer tail, but it's still deer tail.
When I was dancing, we have round bustles made out of owl feathers or hawk feathers. We don't use eagle feathers. Now today they use eagle feathers. So the bustle is supposed to be round instead of a butterfly shape. That's what they have now. Everybody thinks that they have to have a war bonnet on, but I said they don't do that. Only the people that belong to civil societies that wear those bonnets made out of eagle feathers, and some even social dancing, they wear them to dance. But very seldom, I said, they mind, if they go on a warpath, they don't wear them. So if there's a strong wind behind you, that thing will flip over your head and you can't see anything.
A long time ago, if you've seen a dancer and seen his beadwork or design his outfit, you would know where he came from just by their design and the way they put their outfit together. Nowadays, everybody has adapted to one another, and it's hard to tell where someone's from when you see them dance.
Throughout the year, Native American people celebrate their connections to Makah, or Mother Earth, and also to one another, through traditions and spirituality. It is a social, personal, and spiritual gathering. It is the powwow. For many of these gatherings are an integral part and contemporary component of Native American spirituality. The origin of the term powwow is unclear. It has been credited to many tribes. Some say it comes from the Algonquin and is pronounced powwow, which means the gathering of people to celebrate an important event. Others credited the term and believe it meant medicine man or priest, and sometimes it was interpreted as meeting among Indians. In the Lakota Dakota language, the word powwow is also known as wachipi, which means they dance or dancing. Today, the focal point of a powwow is dancing, whether it's competitive or for fun, or to honor a lost friend or relative, or welcome a new child into the world. This sometimes sacred and sometimes public gathering can be enjoyed by all ages. That includes those taking part in the powwow by dancing in the circle, or by those participating in supporting Native American spirituality through prayers around the outside of the dance arena, or sometimes referred to as the arbor.
Just as much as the pine tree seed needs a fire, an oak tree needs a fire to propagate, and that had happened to us without asking for it. We had gotten fire, we had gotten hurtful things without requesting for those things. It just happened to us, and it has made us stronger. It has made our people heal. We know how to heal. We have ceremonies in place for those wiping of tears. We have ceremonies in place for the hunka, making of relatives. We have ceremony in place to purify ourselves. It's already there. Just give us time and give us our rights so we could do that in our sacred places. So people who are actually contest powwow dancers would go to a traditional powwow to get their children named, or get their children or the family to wipe their tears. Sometimes they can't dance for a whole year until they wipe their tears. And it's a wonderful thing to keep the traditions going. And we can't be absent sometimes when we're needed at many places. When we're needed, sometimes we can't say no, especially if you're offered tobacco. So that's what traditional powwows are really meant to be, is to help people with their sacred rites.
In fact, it's a lot less pressure on some of the people that dance as well, because they have more fun when there's, not so much, I guess, competition. They can just enjoy themselves. And certainly the traditional powwows, they can enjoy themselves and just dance, and they don't have to worry about grand entry and being on time and missing points if they're not at a special, or and so forth. So that's one of the things that I think is the benefit of traditional powwows.
See, this is traditional. This is what I like. There is no hurry. There is no, worry about competition. I think everybody's a champion dancer, regardless. But I'm more for the traditional dancing. People go out there for first place for what could be $1,000, but you know what? Sometimes I go to traditional powwows with just gas money.
The traditional powwow is pretty much where powwows began. With traditional powwows, I guess that's what I grew up around. My grandfather taught me how to sing around when I was 2 years old. And from there I started to learn to dance. And so we traveled mainly to traditional powwows. And there's no competition dancing. There's more of like togetherness feel to that powwow. There's no money involved. Maybe they'll pay the drum some gas money or some coffee money, because you're taught more to be patient. You're taught to enjoy yourself, to take care of your family, and all those things are important, and those are the values that are stressed to me. Now, when you have a competition powwow, I think the attitude of the dancers, of the people, of everyone that is there changes, because you're not only there for your people, but you're there in competition.
Now what we do today is we had to bribe our people to dance. And that's true to it. If I sponsor a traditional dance, how many drum groups will come? There'll probably be one. How many dancers will come if there's no money? Probably not even a handful.
To be truthful, a lot of the good dancers will probably go to the competition powwow. And because some of those dancers, that's how they make their living. That's their job. That's what they do. They do it well, and they earn money doing that. The emphasis on money and making money, that's today's world. It's hard not to live without money today.
Most of the powwows we go to is competition powwows, and we get judged on our outfits, how we dance, and that we stop to the end of the beat of the song. I do pretty all right, I mean, I pay the bills and stuff like that. It's kind of like a job, I mean, somewhat, you got the traditional powwows to go to too, you can't just set your mind on competition powwows. You still got to go dance for the people. That's the way they brought you up, to dance for the older elders, and that's who basically you're dancing for. You're trying to make them happy because they can't be out there doing what you're doing.
Contest powwows are good because there's that competitive nature that we have, in maybe a powwow or a basketball game or whatever it is. We do have that competitive nature. But it also, like I talked about the meaning of the powwows, it kind of loses the meaning behind the dances in the songs and in everything else when it comes to contest. When I was little, I don't remember ever getting paid for dance. It was something that I wanted to do. As far as the powwows getting bigger, I feel pretty good about that. Like I said, when I was younger, there wasn't that many people that were dancing. And it's surprising to see today some of the people I thought I would never see out there are out there dancing, and it's good to see that. As far as the outfits, I have mixed emotions on that. In some ways, I feel they should stay traditional. In some ways, it brings out more people, I guess you'd say, to dance. But I see a lot more feathers used in the powwows today than they used to be. I don't want the meaning behind the feathers and behind the powwow and behind the dance to lose any ground. I want the meaning to always be there, and the respect. I just hope that powwows do not become commercialized and that you see banners or TV ads run or different things like that. I want it to stay respectful for everybody to enjoy one another's company, to enjoy the songs, the dances, and to visit with one another and be happy. The powwows are very important because they bring people together. They bring the harmony and the unity that we once had, maybe be for 2-3 days of the week at a powwow, but still we come together. And it gives us hope for further down the road that we're still able to be a one nation people and not divided.
Like today, they call it Grand Entry. This type of thing, it's a new thing. When we do it, I call it a parade dance, because we show what we will do at the beginning, so we call it a parade dance. But this generation, they call it Grand Entry.
Some people say that they miss the outdoor traditional powwows in which there was more emphasis on giveaways and feasts and visiting and meeting your relatives and all of that. And by far, those are the most fun that I think are the most fun. But others, the contemporary kids today that go to those great big powwows that are inside, that hold thousands and thousands of people, they also have their place, and the young people see that as an opportunity to compete and to meet other people, other cultures, and hear other languages, see other kinds of outfits and regalia. And so the indoor powwows that are real huge are a venue for those young people as well. Powwow is for everyone. The powwow, all ages, all times, all ages, all people. Black, red, yellow, white. Everyone should be at a powwow at one time in their lives. I tell my students here at BH, if you've never been to a powwow, you need to go one at least once. If not, and you'll probably go to more after you've been to your first.
Today, many Native American dancers use their own style mixed with traditional steps. Like the people of the plains, dance has evolved and will continue to evolve. Keeping dance alive is what keeps so many excited about Native American culture. The dance is about family, tradition, and spirituality.
We go to powwows and stuff all over, and there's not too many dancers out there, There's only very few of us. So a lot of the older folks, more than happy to help you out, get out there, help you keep the culture strong, and help you keep dancing, and for the young people especially, because of all the violence and all the other kind of stuff that's going on in the world, and we're not trying to have our native people and native kids and all them follow the footsteps of doing bad.
I want the youth to always remember who they are, first of all, that they are Native Americans before they're anything else. We can't go back to living in teepees and hunting buffalo like we used to. We have to adapt to the society that we're in today. But never forget the dances, the songs, or the ceremonies that we have, because this is our foundation as being Native American people. This is what makes us, this is what gives us closeness to the earth that we live on, and gives us the respect for not only the earth, but everything that the earth provides for us and for other people. So I would say to the youth, not to forget these ceremonies, these songs. Listen to what your elders have to tell you, the stories, because everything I know, I've learned, in the dances that I do, I've learned for elders that took the time out to sit down and explain everything to me, and respect those elders. And when you become an elder yourself, share those things with your children or grandchildren, so that it may be passed on and continuously for many generations to come.
Music is always going to be part of us. Our music and dances will change. We're going to bring in more, I guess, different styles. Some have been done in the past, but we're bringing back. And that's what's happening today. But they give different names to it.
A long time ago, the people would dance out of joy, dance out of jubilation for a victory dance, dance in sorrow, to honor a relative, to cry in sorrow, we would sing for different kinds of occasions. And so it's a natural extension of who we are as a people. And so why would music and dance not be important to us? It's always going to be important to us. But how it has changed quite a bit. Just like anything, we as Native American people aren't changeless. Kids are still doing the dances. They're still wanting to research about, is this the proper way? Is my regalia the right way that it should be? Should I be doing this in this dance, or should I be doing that? So they're still searching out and wanting to find the truth. And so that doesn't mean that they're forgetting about the past. And music and dance has changed, and it will continue to evolve as people evolve. And I think that's what's exciting about culture and about people. We don't stay the same, we change.
No matter what legacies future dances may produce among Native Americans, just knowing it, still remembering who you are, respecting those now and before who taught the dance. It is good to be in harmony with yourself and Mother Earth through the spirit of the dance, the Wachipi.
Spirit of the Dance, Wachipi, is available on DVD for $19.95 plus $5 shipping and handling. Call 1-800-456-06